Hello and welcome to Tea Talk, where the topics are real, relevant, and relaxing. It's Tea Talk time, and here's Lady O.
Thank you, Tracy. Well, hello, hello, hello. I am so happy to greet you today. It is a beautiful, beautiful day. Thank God the hot weather is over. It's October and we have had some beautiful weather. It's very cool and calming today. And I looked at October this year and it's almost gone. And there was so much in October. Of course, I'm wearing purple today for to just honor those ladies who have been through abuse. And it's called Domestic Violence Day at First Met. So that's why I have on purple. The other Sunday I had on pink for breast cancer awareness. There's a lot going on in October. And we are here to tell you about something new in October that I didn't know about. So you might want to go and invite your friends because there's so many of us ladies who have gone through this experience and we don't talk about it. It's just like a hush hush. It never happened. But in reality, it really did happen. So, October, I just found out, is Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month. I never heard of it. Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month. But I know that each one of you knows somebody who has had a miscarriage, who lost a baby. And I tell you, it's one of the most devastating things that can happen to a woman. You're expecting this baby and you got baby showers, you got all these expectations. And at the end of it, you don't have your baby and the baby dies. So we're going to talk about that. So why don't you go ahead and start to call somebody, text somebody and say, hey, get on Tea Talk. They're going to be talking about infant loss. And I know you went through this. So please get on it because we're not going the ladies are going to be very transparent. They're going to tell their story. So they're just not going to act like, it didn't happen. They have babies and they have been through this experience, but they also have some help. I don't know if you've ever seen a lady who just got so depressed and you don't know what to say, and you say dumb stuff like I've heard before. And so don't ever say this. If you say stuff like, well, God needed another flower in heaven. No, God didn't need another flower in heaven. You don't tell somebody that. So we say things. We're going to talk about what, because we mean well, okay? Because we're trying to make them feel better. But the reality is that does not make them feel better. So we're going to talk about what to say, what not to say. Where can you go for help? What should you be doing? So go ahead and call somebody, text somebody, tell them to get on that this is a great show that's coming up. So I want to just tell you why you all are tagging people and getting people to come. We have a lot of upcoming other events in October. We had our women's conference. I got my little sunflower here to remind me to tell you all that next week we're going to be talking about the women's conference. We got all the pictures and so forth. It's going to be amazing. So don't miss next Sunday. Okay. And yesterday I was at a brunch for the deaconess and they gave away gifts. And look what they gave me. A mug that has a sunflower on it. And I love it because it says, good morning, beautiful. So I turn it this way. And when I'm drinking my tea and coffee, I can see it's saying, reminding me that I'm beautiful. And I want you to know that you are beautiful too. Okay. So those are the things that are kind of coming up. So don't miss those. Mark your calendar, share with your friends that those things are coming up. It's going to be great. So listen, without further ado, I am so excited to have a young lady on here who I've known for quite a while. And the first time I ever remember her, and I still have a flashback of that time when I met her, she was coming up for prayer at the church. And I'd never seen her before. I think she was a member of the church, but I don't think I really even knew her. You know what I mean? You see people. And she said, you ask her, how could I pray for her? And she said, I just lost my baby. And you can imagine somebody says that to you, you're like, wow, what do I do? What do I say? How do I pray for this young lady who lost a baby, and she's going to share her story. I'm not going to tell it to you, but that's how I first met her. So I still remember that. It's been several years ago, and since then she's gone on to have another baby and a little boy. But nothing will ever replace, I'm sure, that baby. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you and help me welcome to Tea Talk Miss Danielle Houston. Hello, Danielle. I can't hear you. You got to unmute yourself.
Thank you for having me on your show. Wow, everything
Oh,
has come full
it's
circle.
it's my pleasure. And I am loving your logo behind you. Lean a little bit to the left. Let me see that. To the Yeah. Oh,
that's,
that's beautiful. It's
that's
a heart with
Angel
a little
Baby
baby in there.
Sweater.
Oh, I love it. Because isn't that what we do when we get pregnant? It's like this little heart is sitting right there that we really are expecting one day to bring life there. That is beautiful. I like the blue and the pink. That is so creative. Did you do that yourself?
uh, I have a designer that
Yeah.
modeled this after the Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness ribbon,
Okay.
which is pink and blue. This is Pregnancy
Ooh,
and Infant Loss Awareness Month. And
yes.
so I appreciate
Now,
being invited. You like to stay relevant and relaxing.
it's relevant. It's so relevant because there's so many women that have never talked about it. So we don't know, and it's kind of a taboo. So tell me, uh, well, first of all, tell me your story about your baby, and then tell me how you came into to create this new ministry. How did you get from A to B? How long ago was it?
So in 2013, it's been 10 years.
Wow.
I could tell you this story like it happened yesterday because when you just introduced me and said I came up to you, that's exactly how we actually had a one-on-one. I never even
Yeah.
had the guts to approach the first lady, but I mean, you said, "How can I pray for you?" And I was gonna tell you. I When I came up to you in 2013, I was still pregnant with a baby that I had just found out was dead. And I was
Mm.
carrying this baby around. I knew she was gone. I was almost 7 months pregnant. I was showing, and I was waiting to deliver. And I was in pure agony. And
7 months.
the only thing I could think of is I need prayer because I
Mm,
don't have the answers, and nobody I know could tell me that they know what this feeling is like. I
mm-mm,
felt um I felt sad that it was over. I felt disappointed that it was over. I
mhm.
felt completely disgusted by the fact I kept thinking, I got a baby decomposing in my body, you
Right.
know?
Mhm.
And I was very anxious because I knew that this baby got to come out. But then, what now?
Yeah.
So, and then they told me I had to make a decision whether I wanted to go through labor or I wanted to have what they call the induced abortion,
Mhm.
which was, they put you to sleep, and when you wake up, there's nothing.
Right.
They
Right.
clean you out. They
Mhm.
remove all traces of a baby from you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just so, when I know those are the different choices because the baby has to come out. I know that. But people don't realize that all miscarriages don't come out. You have to go in and do D&Cs, and sometimes actually remove the baby. And if you don't go through the labor to push the baby out, then the alternative is very, I mean, it's very devastating and
Yeah.
traumatic to think about when you go to sleep what they're going to be doing. You don't feel it, but they're
Well,
still
I
your
had
baby.
some cold-blooded doctors who explained to me exactly what was going to happen, and
They
she
did
said
tell you what they were going to do and
She
everything,
said
huh?
we're gonna have an induced abortion. We recommend that because you've never had a baby before, so it's gonna take 12 hours alone or even longer for you to
Oh
actually
my
push this, for us to induce you. So she said, I suggest the induced abortion. And when she said the word abortion,
I
I
know.
respect all women and whatever right they choose, but that was not what I wanted because I prayed for that baby. And so when she said abortion, I said, abortion? No. And she said, well, the baby's gone. They're not gonna feel it. And I said, but no, I wanted to see my baby. So I
Right.
chose to go through labor.
Yes.
I
And
wanted to
that must
see
have
my
been really
baby.
hard too, because you had in
It
labor,
was
you had the pain.
I had the pain, but no reward. Everybody say, "Oh, because you forget all about the labor pains after you see that baby." I didn't forget anything because I had this baby come out, and I never got to see her open her eyes. I never got to hear that baby cry. And so I
Mhm.
never got to take my baby home from the hospital. Um,
But you did hold your baby because she
I
was full
held,
term.
I held her, and I did take pictures, but I didn't share that, and I would never share that with anybody. I know some people was like, let me see, no,
Mhm.
but
That's
that was my
my
baby. But
mhm.
while I was in there, I went to Methodist Willowbrook in Houston, Texas,
Okay.
and they took great care of me, and
Good.
they
Good.
put
Good.
me
Good.
away from the moms who had babies.
You know.
But that whole traumatic experience, I was trying to find like some positive things to say, but and I know I can talk with a smile, but it's very hurtful.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I had my son in 2014, and I had another experience just like the one I had in 2013. I had another one in 2019. I had the same, almost like a deja vu, just the same
Was the
experience.
same amount of months too, or was it earlier?
Um, yeah, around the same time. It was the
Oh my
6 month mark.
goodness.
So you think, okay, when I get to 12 weeks, I can start telling everybody.
Right.
Well, with different health issues that I had, this I got a miracle baby in there. Let's just say I'm grateful for it. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's important to to
Mhm.
encourage moms
Yeah.
um on their journeys.
Yeah, yeah. You want to be encouraged and so forth, but the reality is it's devastating and it's traumatic. The good news is you can learn how to live a happy life in spite of, because there's nothing that can remove the memory or whatever. But over the years, can you at least say that the hurt has gotten less? Is that a right word? Is that, are you able to do it better
It's
over the years
different,
or what?
and it's a grief. It's
It's
grief.
grief.
So it's like losing. You know, some people say losing a child is harder than any other
Yeah,
relative, a parent, or
I believe
or
it.
cousin, whatever.
Hmm.
It's hard. I would just say that I've learned to do things to help me cope.
Yeah.
One thing is prayer,
Hmm.
and you can all my Christians, you can pray and get counseling at the same time,
Exactly. I think
and it's
you're right.
important.
Prayer is number one. And I was so, when I first met you and you asked me to pray for you, I just felt the power of the Holy Ghost saying, you have to do this. You can help. You're part of helping her get through. You can't just say something magical or whatever and she gets through it. But the prayers will be comforting and assuring that she's not alone, that people care and that they understand, or they're trying to at least listen to help you get through it. So let's talk about too, because I know you eventually had a baby. How many miscarriages did you have before you got your miracle baby?
I had that um,
Little
stillborn
boy.
in
Uh-huh.
2013, and the mental um, effect that it had on me was what they had like PTSD.
Okay.
Like I would see women with
Oh my
babies
goodness.
and I would despise
Yeah.
them. I could not go to baby showers.
Mhm.
I could not stand to hear a baby crying.
Mhm.
Anything baby related, I just sheered away from
Yeah.
it. It was just way too
Mhm.
hurtful. But then I got to the point where I'm like, nope, I'm gonna try again.
Right.
You know, And then I was telling my husband, you better act right today because I want a baby.
Oh, and so this was
you
your
know,
son that you finally did have. Tell us about what
yes,
that was like
right,
to go
right
all the
after
way
him.
through and bring a baby
Got
home.
to, got to as far as I could get before it got risky again. And we went ahead and uh,
The
had the C
C-section.
section and got him out of there.
Yeah. How many months
Yeah.
were you when you had the C-section for him?
8.
8 months. So, and
Yeah.
and that is so important too, because some women, we find a pattern that they can carry the baby so far
For so
and that's
long.
it. So I
Yeah.
think it's very wise for the doctor to know that, so he can help you go ahead and do the C-section so that same thing won't happen over and over again.
And I was blessed because I'm always trying to find positive
Mhm.
things. I was blessed because I with the doctor's help got to know why it was happening.
Yeah.
Some women just never find out why.
Yeah.
They never find out why, which is devastating. So,
Right.
I could look on the bright side and say I knew what was happening to stop um to have,
Yeah.
for
To correct it.
my pregnancy
So you can have your
and
baby. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, tell me, let's
So
talk about,
unfortunately I couldn't stop it again,
yeah,
but at least I
you
knew
knew.
I tried.
Yeah. And information is critical. I say that to everybody. You need to know your own body, and you need to study and get with a doctor who does care rather than just tell you, oh, try again. Up, I don't know why. Let's just do it again. So insensitive, but he's tried to help you find out what was wrong and worked it through. So you finally got your little baby. Now, how old is your miracle baby now?
Okay, so Isaiah is 9
Wow.
and he is a true gift.
Yes.
He is perfectly healthy and I am very grateful for my son.
Amen.
This month is Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month, and I have been talking to so many women who have told me I have validated their experiences or they've lost and not shared, and they've been holding that for years, and that makes me so sad because your baby matters. And so that's why I founded the Angel Babies Matter Network. And if you don't mind, I would love to share my
Okay,
screen
go
so
ahead. If
I
you
can
can
show
show
you
us
guys.
quickly, because that's what I was going to ask you about what God put on your heart to start this Angel Babies Matters network. So tell us real quickly what it is. Let's go through it and how we can get more information.
Okay. All right. So the Angel Babies Matter Network is our mission is to support grieving families dealing with pregnancy and infant loss. And the infant loss is miscarriage, stillbirth, and even babies who don't make it out of the NICU. They eventually pass away. They don't make it out of the hospital, the neonatal death. In 1988, President Ronald Reagan declared October as National Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month. So this month, this celebration of celebrating moms and their babies and acknowledging their pain. This has been going on for the year after I was
I
born.
had I had never heard of it.
For
Never.
35 years. Okay.
Wow.
Yes. Okay. And so about us, I have a GPA mission, which is grief support and networking. I want to get with moms who've lost. We could connect with other moms. We do so tactfully. We gently reach out,
Mhm.
not in your face, but gently reach
Right.
out. We have we deliver care packages to the hospital. Some moms don't get to the point where they have cremation or a funeral. They might just have lost at home, or and didn't go to the hospital,
Okay.
or they might have lost at the hospital, but don't have, you
Well,
know,
you get there and give them a
where they
box to help
yeah, well, we at least give them a
them
box, and I'll
care.
share
Yeah,
more
to show you
about what's in
care.
those boxes.
Uh-huh.
But at least they could go home with
With
more than
something.
just a
Yeah.
hospital van, right?
Oh my
Partnerships. We have partnered with Nami, who's on the call today, and I'm so glad.
Yes, we're gonna talk
We
with her in a
partner with
minute.
some
Uh-huh.
yes, and some hospitals locally, but I just don't want people to think that you got to be at that hospital to get a care package. We do reach out. through when you connect with us, we do reach
So
out.
we can they
And
can
then
just
we
let you
also,
know if they know of a person who's going through this, and then that's the connection. And you're going to tell us the website, how to get in touch, and everything. But if they do that, then that's a way of you being able to go and actively engage that mom with a nice.
so you can go on the website and let us
Okay.
know you're a mom or you know of a mom that lost and you wanted to,
Okay.
us to make a connection, and we'll
Okay.
gently do so. And then we advocate. We have been speaking with um, leaders and political leaders about, having moms to be able to get that maternity leave, because when a mom loses, she doesn't get maternity leave,
Mm.
but she needs it.
Yeah, she needs it. Yeah. Okay. Very
She
good.
needs it. Okay, and then just some statistics. There are about 1 in 4 women,
Wow.
one, two, three, four. So one of them lost a baby.
Wow.
Stillbirth affects about 21,000 babies in the U.S.
Mm, mm,
and Black and Native Americans experience stillbirth
mhm,
at 2 times higher the rate of other families.
mhm.
And 1 in 6 women will be diagnosed with some type of uh, mental health diagnosis. Post PTSD is one of them. After such, if they go get counseling, they could be diagnosed with some type of
Mental health.
mental
Yeah, I can imagine.
crisis, even if it's
Yeah.
temporary. And I just want to say this one
Okay.
thing: these are not just numbers. We're talking about our sisters. We're
Right.
talking about
Well, I
our
wanted to
friends.
say something real quickly. Real quickly. I know because we got to finish the slides, but think Tracy or somebody in the chat said a minute ago that especially if you're black, if you're African American or like Indian or somebody like that, the doctors don't listen to those women as much as they do. So the stillbirths and the lack of care is not adequate. It's not equitable to other races who have problems and so forth. They take it a little bit more serious and help them more and listen to them more. So if you are a black person, I don't know, I would just probably want to have someone who knows and cares about black people. And so, you
Yeah.
know, but anyway, okay, go ahead. I'm sorry, I want to jump in there and say that. So be careful
And
for
I
mom,
will say we
take
could be
care of
on
you,
another two
yeah,
hour.
of your health because you can go all doctors are not the same. Okay. So you don't just go to say if some doctors talking to you in a very negative way or not listening to you, change doctors. Okay, go ahead.
You are absolutely correct. And I was gonna say, this is a crisis
Mm-hmm.
um, that not only affects the babies. I'm focusing on your angel babies matter, but you matter also, ma'am.
Exactly.
You matter also, and it's a national problem that Kamala Harris is dealing with. Vice President Kamala Harris is dealing with right now with the maternal health of Black women.
Well,
So it
and
is,
I don't know if you're going to cover this. Some of the others might cover it, but now with the way they're doing about the pregnancy and abortions and so forth, women are having to, when you talked about having to carry the baby around because you can't now abort a baby, even if they are dead, you got to go through certain things. You can go to jail and all these kind of things.
yes,
So the laws have been such that they don't even support. When you were doing that, they were at least supporting the fact that
yeah, it wasn't illegal. And I told my husband, I said, at least I had a choice
yeah, you had
to
health care.
do something
Yeah,
that was important to me and urgent.
right. Yeah,
It
this
was
is life
urgent.
threatening. When a woman loses a baby and the baby's still inside, you need to clean them out. There's so many things that can happen, but I'm so glad that you're doing this because I can see you can be an advocate for even for that. So let me let you go ahead because I got about 2 more minutes. So go ahead.
Okay. And so there's a difference, and then you can go on the website and read it when a woman loses versus miscarriage and stillbirth. It just depends on where she was in her pregnancy.
Hmm.
These boxes, this is a picture of some of the things that I have inside of the
Oh,
boxes.
that's nice.
It's books, it's seeds for a garden if you want to plant a garden for your baby. Those are handmade quilts,
Mm,
baby quilts made by Stephanie Moss.
I
And
thought that was
um,
Stephanie's work.
yes, that's how beautiful. And then she's getting with a guild. to try to make some more of those handmade quilts.
Wonderful.
They have the Angel Babies Matter buttons on them. They have different prayer cards. They have wristbands in there that say, "Before you were formed in your mother's womb, I already
Oh
knew
my
you."
God. And I'm looking at the
They have
materials that you have there too, the reading materials. I see NAMI, and we're going to
yes,
have a representative from NAMI come on and talk about that. But I can just imagine doing something like that would really cause you a lot of emotional things that could develop into a mental illness that you will need to get professional help with. So thank you so much for sharing it. So your website, what's the website where they can contact you or phone number?
okay, so you can go to angelbabiesmatternetwork.com. You can go to Angel Babies Matter Network. You can make a donation. You can volunteer to help make those boxes that we send to the hospital. You can connect with moms who've lost babies.
Right.
And you can just
Oh, that's great.
come to some of our events as well. Our next event is going to be around Mother's Day. We're going to have a paint party for
Oh,
moms who lost babies,
oh, that's
and
so sweet.
it's going to be beautiful artwork you can make in honor of your angel
Right.
babies.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. And I want to encourage you all to go to her website. We just couldn't cover everything, but that's a good synopsis of what she does, what it is, and where to contact her and get involved. If you can make quilts or whatever, purchase some books to put in that box, because all of us know somebody who's gone through this traumatic experience. And I think it's traumatic even when you're like a couple of months and you lose a baby. But I can think is, I mean, 3 or 4 times worse. I'm thinking if the baby is 7 or 8 months old. I think it's just because I think you have to have a funeral when they get to be a certain, yeah,
Yes, you have to
actually do
be able to,
deliver a
you know.
casket and all that kind of stuff. It's
I have ashes for my baby,
Yeah,
but
yeah. A lot of
our
people choose
moms don't get
to do
that.
the cremation and keep the ashes with them. It's a choice, but
Yeah,
I know have had some people who we've gone to the graveside with. They had a graveside service to have a little casket. I mean, it's up to.
it's hard. It's
It's very
hard.
hard. Well, thank you so much for sharing, and thank you for starting this. And we're gonna go to. Well, I was gonna go to Tracy next, but I think I'm gonna go to Nami next because they are a part of what you're doing, right? So let's go to Nami next and talk about how that can. Hi, Gussie.
Hey, good afternoon, Lady O.
Welcome to Tea Talk. We're so happy to have you,
Thank you.
and you do some wonderful, wonderful work with NAMI. And tell us a little bit about what kind of what kind of things do women go through mentally and emotionally in losing a baby, and how do they come to NAMI, or how can they come? And then tell me how you are partnering with Danielle.
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, I'm excited to be here because I'm an angel baby mommy.
Okay.
Um, I have experienced 2 miscarriages, and God has blessed my husband and I to have 2 children. So we
Yay.
lost one, and we had one, and we lost another, and then we had another. So I'm grateful for that. But to that point, no 2 experiences are exactly alike.
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to Danielle share her story, and I can appreciate that. And thank you for that question about how she dealt with it. I
Mm-hmm.
think one of the things that was really beneficial to me in '99, my mother buried her sister, and became the last living sibling. Well, the day before she passed, we were at her bedside, then living in Atlanta, Georgia. And my aunt looks around the room. She looked left and right, and she said she was ridden with cancer, very, very frail and sleeping most of the time. But her eyes popped open. She looked around Lady O and she said, "Where's that boy?" And I thought she was teasing. She was very funny, right, in her day. So I thought
Mm-hmm.
to me about my husband, and I pointed over in the corner of the hospital room and I said, "Oh, that boy, he's over there, Auntie." And she said, "No." And she started looking around, and then my first cousin, her daughter, stood up and leaned over the bed and got her attention and said, "Auntie, Randy and Gussie don't have any children yet."
Okay.
And I thought, wow, because she didn't know we were just starting. We were just
Right.
6 years into the marriage, we were just starting. And so she looked at me and her eyes got big and her mouth fell open. She said, "That boy, he's on the way." And I mean that. And I
Mm.
just immediately I blinked and I started crying and I was like, "Oh my gosh." So I told my dad what happened and he said, "Hold on to that. Hold on to that because your auntie is heading into another dimension where we aren't yet. So
Right.
hold on to that. So I did, Lady O. The next year we got pregnant. So to answer your question, there's such a high, right? When
Yeah.
you are working on that baby, praying for that baby, you are so excited about that baby. Now you can imagine when the baby doesn't materialize, to your question, the devastation, how
Yes.
depression can set in. And let
Mhm.
me tell you the power of your position. You already know it. And Tea Time Club is an example of that. My
Mhm.
first lady, my husband called the pastor and first lady, we were good friends of us, called the first lady and told her what happened. She came over and then she shared her story with me. They had 3 children. We were their first babysitters, and I learned they miscarried twice.
Wow.
I said, are you kidding me? Like, and immediately I at least felt I just wanted to grab her because I felt like I'm not by myself. Because, like,
Right.
no, I didn't know anybody.
Right. Wow.
And I was so embarrassed that it had happened to me. And I think I heard that word earlier too. My
Embarrassing.
husband was the third child of a marriage that divorced while they were pregnant with him, and his father wasn't in his life. So I had in my mind, oh, that boy's on the way. God, you gonna help heal
The
his heart.
perfect family.
Oh,
Yeah.
so I felt
Wow.
like, oh,
Did
somehow,
you go through the depression and all of that?
absolutely, I did not want to leave the bed.
Yeah.
I did not want it. I didn't want to open the blinds.
Face people.
I
Wow.
did not because I was so embarrassed.
Embarrassed. Now,
Yeah.
was NAMI there for you, or what did you do? How did NAMI put? Because we're running
Exactly.
short of time here. So how did NAMI fit
So
in?
fast forward to finding and discovering Angel Babies Network,
Right.
right? And that those babies matter. So when Danielle reached out, we talked and I said, I'm happy NAMI is going to support this
Mhm.
initiative. We have something called healing circles. And
Mhm.
healing circles have topics, if you will. So, what we've decided to do in partnership with Danielle and Angel Babies Matter Network is to create a healing circle for women that have experienced pregnancy loss at whatever stage. And
That's good. So
absolutely,
many women need this. And so, what you're going to be doing is partnering with Danielle. And so, when they contact Danielle, they can find out about the Healing Circle.
that's exactly right. That's
Okay.
exactly right. Yes. And so we can determine location. And if
Mhm.
necessary, we can create more because we know how vast Greater Houston is. If
Mhm.
we need to create a couple of healing circles, we're able
Right.
to train the ladies so that they can, every healing circle has a facilitator and a co-facilitator. So we'll be able to do that and we'll be able to talk about, and I heard her say it, and it's true, it is grief. There's not a Mother's Day that I don't go pull out my pregnancy tests, all 4 of them.
Oh my
And
God.
I have a quiet moment with them.
Yeah.
Even now that my parents have passed on, I think, you know what? I'm so excited because I feel like there's 2 on the other side that they already
Right.
know.
And
And
they matter.
inside and they matter. So
That's right.
you never ever, it never goes away. It doesn't
Mhm.
clear up like a bump.
Yeah.
It's something that you learn to live with. But to your point, we have to be able to have healthy coping
Right.
mechanisms so we can find healing. And this platform is allowing us to do that, to say they matter. So thank you for your sensitivity to it.
Yeah, amen. Well, I'm
Yes.
thinking we're going to have one at first, but we got to have one at first. And I'll get with Danielle at that because there's so many at first met too that I've met along the way. Well,
Yes.
thank you for sharing. I've got another lady I want to get her
Yeah.
on, but I just really honor the fact that NAMI is taking this on to help because,
Yes.
when God gives you a ministry like this, He's
Yes.
got to give you people to help you. Danielle has a heart and she has a vision, but she needs other people. So for you all to come in and kind of help show them how to do this the proper way, that's mental, dealing with the mental part of it, because she knows what she went through, but you do need some professionals. So this is really great. I'm excited about it and can't wait to hear more about what's going on. So let's bring our next one. Don't go away. We may have questions. If you have any questions, put them in the box so I can ask these young ladies. But I want to bring on my next guest. Um, and this young lady, Tracy Walker, I mean, when I first heard her stories, I was just boohooing because you never, really think about that. I knew her as a member, but I didn't know. What do you do when you have miscarriage after miscarriage after miscarriage, and your parents are asking, when we gonna get a baby? When we gonna get a grandbaby? What does that make you feel like as a woman for your husband? So Tracy, why don't you come on now and tell us your story about your angel baby that matters. Babies, huh? I can't hear you though.
Yes, they truly do matter. As I was listening to the young lady speak earlier, I started thinking about the previous miscarriages, and my son today, Michael Jr. is 17. Thank God we finally were blessed, but
Yeah.
before him, we had so many miscarriages. I think I lost count. It was just it was unbelievable, the
Mm-hmm.
experience. And what I wanted to really hone in on, talk about, is just three topics. Really, is the medical aspect of it,
Mm-hmm.
the spiritual aspect of it, and then the relationship, because this really took a toll on my marriage. And that's why it's so important. I'll talk about the relational part first. It's so important to have a praying spouse,
Mm-hmm.
somebody that's not, you're not in this by yourself, you're in it with someone.
Yes.
And I sing my husband's praise because I was not alone. I didn't do this by myself.
Mm-hmm.
He held my hand. He went to appointments with me.
Yeah.
We
And
went
he
through.
lost the baby too.
Yes, he lost too.
He
And
lost the babies because that's his child as well. And
yeah, and
nobody ever
society.
talks about what the fathers go through.
Exactly. And to see my husband, in bawling and tears, I think it hurt me to see him do that more than it was just, it was a lot to see that. And
And did it make you feel like, as a wife, that my husband wants this baby so bad and I keep failing, or I keep not being enough? How did you feel as a
I
woman?
felt, if from that aspect, I feel like, I'm not, I'm letting him down. I'm not woman enough. I'm not, something must be wrong, with me. And I don't know why this is happening to me, but
Right.
I even got to the point of, God, he doesn't deserve this. What did we do, or what did I do?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it was hurtful. It was hurtful for me as a woman, because when you go back and look at scripture talking about a woman's womb being, uh, a woman being barren, it's like, what? There's something had to happen for her to be in that condition.
Yeah.
And,
And that's
yeah, so,
what Danielle just said. She felt like it was her fault. She couldn't
yeah,
have the baby, or she couldn't hold the baby, or whatever.
right. So I went through that phase, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I was angry with God. I was
Okay.
very, very angry and frustrated, because I'm thinking, I wasn't perfect, but for the most part, I feel like I lived my life for the Lord. So
Yeah.
I could not figure out, why am I going through this?
Yeah.
I knew women who they weren't even thinking about having babies, and they were getting pregnant and having
I know,
babies.
out on the street doing everything. And you grew up
Yeah, they
in a
just looked
Christian
at somebody
home.
and got pregnant. And I'm like, I don't,
You wanted your
yes,
baby,
yes.
you
So
wanted to be
that,
pregnant. Some people don't want to be
right.
pregnant. Here they are popping them like flies.
Yeah. So that, as a woman, it made me feel a certain type of way about, this is what we're supposed to do. Women are we're supposed to go through this life, supposed to get married, supposed to have kids. That's just how you do business. And
Right.
not to be able to do that, you feel embarrassed,
Hmm.
shameful. Um, what's wrong with you? And it's not just you thinking that of yourself. You have other people
Right.
asking you those questions, like, what's wrong? What, have you gone to the doctor? Have you been tested? Have you done this? And Mike and I went through this for 9 years.
Wow,
So
9 years. That's a long time.
yeah, we went through infertility testing. I mean, you name a test, we did it.
And those
Uh,
tests are expensive too, and they're a little bit humiliating sometimes too, right?
oh yeah, yeah. It's you feel like a guinea pig. But they're poking. You're going to get blood work. You're going to the doctor. I mean, it's just an ongoing process. And this kind of leads me to my next phase, which is the medical aspect of it. African American women are not treated as other women. We're not.
Hmm.
Um, you're immediately told that, maybe it's just not in the cards for you. I mean, like, really, what does
I know.
that mean?
Okay.
Um, it's not in the cards. Number one, I'm leaving cards. So,
Okay.
God said that, this is what I'm supposed to have. This is what I'm supposed to have. But just even saying, like, my issue was fibroids. I had um, fibroids, and that is something that is very typical in women of color. However, there is a remedy for it.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And,
Good.
and then you find the right doctor and you advocate for yourself to get to the right doctor. And I
Mm-hmm.
did that. I finally found the right doctor. And when you get that doctor, y'all come up with a plan together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Doctors, a lot of them, and I'm not going to speak to any names, but a lot of them don't want to invest the time in dealing with women of color.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
just,
It's just
is
a
not,
fact.
yeah. They don't want to put the time in. And then some people feel like, you know what, if she don't have any kids, that's one less African American child in this world anyway.
Exactly. Let's just tell
So
the truth. Mm-hmm.
that's just the truth of the matter. And
Yeah.
it's sad, but it is true.
Mm-hmm.
And God blessed us finally, but we went through several. I mean, and I know this. Some of the treatments and some of the testing and some of the fertility drugs that I had to take, they told me over time it probably will take a toll on your body because this was 9 years of that. And thankfully, for the most part, I've been healthy. So I thank God for that. I really and truly thank God for that. Because I
So
said,
you're saying that the sometimes the things that they give you can make do harm to your body sometimes.
you're saying sometimes it can cause other things to happen. Like you might end up becoming pre-diabetic or diabetic or
Other things,
some
yeah.
other issues to pop up because you're taking all these different types of
Right.
medications.
Right.
So,
But
but
eventually you did get your baby. He is adorable young man. Uh,
yes, I can
and
pull.
so I know. And I know what was it like to take home that baby as you got closer to delivery. I know you probably had some little anxiety things there. But what did
Um,
it do for you too? Because a lot of Black women have fibroids.
Well, and that was my first order of business was to find a really good doctor to deal with the fibroids, and I had them removed.
Mhm,
Um, I went to one of the top doctors here in Houston. He removed the fibroids,
mhm,
um, and he actually was the same doctor that we went through the fertility treatments with. But that is something that we really have to do as Black women. And I will say this, and when I say this to the audience, I'm saying it to myself. Fibroids happen because of a lot of things. It could be genetic, but a lot of times we find out that it is a lot to do with our diet.
our diet, all that grease and hormones and cheap chickens and yeah, we're
If
eating it inside,
Yeah,
putting it
and
inside our bodies. In many cases, I should say.
we're not taking care of our bodies like we need to,
Hmm.
so we become susceptible to those type of things because it's already kind of genetic, and then it's also can be very environmental and what we eat. So we got
And
to do
when you
better.
know. And so this is very good that you're saying this because when you know better, you can do better. So you got to stop eating those cheap pieces of chicken that the thigh is as big as my thigh is. You know, that's not a normal chicken. And some of the foods, not eating fruits and
Yeah,
vegetables, not drinking water, drinking all that Kool-Aid with lemon and stuff. All that stuff is unhealthy
with
for
dyes,
us.
with those dyes in it and hormones and all that
Yeah,
that stuff, it just impacts us, and
exactly.
we have to do better. Yeah.
Do you
And I
know of
think that
any
sometimes
other
why I'm
I was
sorry.
going to say, do you know of any other medical reasons that you might could share? Because that's very good information to give to women that
Mhm.
check to make sure you don't have fibroids and get them removed. Is there any other reason medically that you found out that maybe, not necessarily in your case, but other cases, why women can't carry the babies?
That for me, that was the main thing that I heard amongst African American women.
Hmm.
Um, Now I know sometimes there are some hormonal things that go on that can you're not maybe not producing enough of a certain hormone.
Right.
Um, but but for me and most of the Black women that I happen to really, because you start building relationships when the women when you're going to those
Hmm.
doctors, because you see the same people and the same you become kind of friends in a way.
Right. Right.
So most of the
A little
women that I
positive. Mhm.
yeah, most of the women that I come in contact with, we all kind of shared the same story:
Right.
endometriosis and or fibroids. That's very,
Mhm.
very common with women of color.
Hmm. And
Yeah.
Danielle said it was her blood pressure
Hmm.
was causing blood clots and stopping my babies from getting the oxygen. So you got to keep that blood pressure under control. You got to keep your weight under control. I developed toxemia with my first one, Johnny, and they told me that he could have died and I could have died because my blood pressure was so high. I was eating all this salt, and when I found out I was having a problem with him, I was at the state fair eating corny dogs and chili dogs, and that salt and sodium just blew me up.
Hmm.
And so you can, those kind of things, you got to cut out that stuff. So high blood pressure is another big one. Now I
Yeah.
know also one of my friends back in the day, her bottom of her uterus was not strong enough, and so they had to sew a mesh under there
Hmm.
uh, to keep the baby from falling out. And then she would do that, and she had to be off her feet. And then at a certain time, they would go ahead and take the mesh off and let the baby come on out. Um, so that was one of them. Because if you, and this one says there was a virus that, you cannot, I didn't know this. You're not supposed to get in the pool when you're pregnant because the chlorine in there can get in the thing and cause all kind of viruses. So you literally have to really protect yourself from all kind of things, that you can't be in a lake and all these kind of things. So those are just some of the things that I've heard uh,
Hmm.
that you have to be very careful about.
That's true.
So yeah, so tell me, then the other one was the spiritual. I interrupted you. You had
Yeah,
three.
I think the spiritual aspect of it is, and as a Christian woman, I am very careful about asking couples, "Oh, when are you gonna have a baby?" or "When are you gonna do this?"
Oh
And
my
and
goodness.
if they're married for a long period of time, "Oh, you're not trusting God," because those are the things that I heard.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like your faith. Where's your faith? What's wrong? It
Mhm.
must be something.
Something's wrong with you.
And so it got to be. You put it. They put it on you, and people talk about church hurts, and we wonder why sometimes we lose people in church. Um, and that
That's hurtful.
that could have easily been me. I could have been like, you know what? I don't want anything else to do
Mm,
with church because the people that should have been protecting and praying for me were talking about me.
exactly.
So
You
we
know,
have to be
and that's
careful.
one of the things I wanted to ask you ladies too, all of you, to kind of think of something. What is the worst thing or some bad things that people said where they may have meant well? And I know one of mine, and I don't say it anymore, is now when are y'all gonna have a baby now? And then I had one I said to a young lady, she had her baby, and I texted her, I said, when are you gonna send pictures? Well, the baby had a deformity. You just need to keep your mouth shut, because I was thinking like she didn't even send me a picture of the baby. Well, baby had a particular disease, and it was not good. They didn't want to take pictures and share out to everybody. So, what are some things that people say after you have miscarriages, or about you not being able to get pregnant? Or Danielle,
I,
you might want to jump in on this one too. What?
Well, I think the worst one that I heard, and the other ladies can probably jump in and add. There's some probably worse, but one of the things that my mouth dropped. One lady said, "Girl, you better hurry up and give that man a baby before he get one somewhere else."
Oh my God, that's awful.
I'm
Okay,
like,
Gus, Gussie, you and Danielle, did y'all have any things that were said to you that was you was like wrong? You should never say that.
Yeah, for me it was, well, at least you know you can get pregnant.
Okay, yeah,
That
yeah,
didn't help at all.
yeah, and they think they're encouraging you that you can get pregnant, but that didn't. Okay, so don't say that, guys. Okay, Danielle, what about you? You're on mute.
Okay, yeah, I was told to stop harping on it.
Stop what?
Just move on. Stop harping
Oh,
on it.
stop.
Stop.
Being so, yeah.
Stop telling people, you lost a baby. You're focusing too much on that. You need to stop harping on it. And at the time, I was grieving.
Oh,
I
you
was
can't even
told,
share your own grief. They're saying you need to be quiet about
you
this.
didn't really need a baby at that
You
time.
didn't need a
You just
baby at
didn't
that
need the baby.
time.
Yeah, you just didn't need the baby. Um, and I was just told, even after I had my son, to just be grateful for what I have. And I am grateful, but that doesn't remove the hurt
Yeah,
that I felt.
right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Um,
Anybody else have
and
another one?
mostly I would get the blame. Like, what did you do?
Yeah,
What happened?
yeah,
That's because you're not sitting down. That's because you keep working.
Yeah.
And it's all you always automatically gonna feel like it's your fault. You're looking at your husband like, I'm sorry, I lost another one of our babies. But uh, for somebody else to blame you, I just want to tell all the ladies, it's not your fault.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
It's not your fault, because if I know that if you wanted to keep that baby here, you would have.
Anything you would have
But
could have done. Yeah, I think people assume sit down somewhere, and I know people that have been not up at all, and it's like your water breaks and the baby just comes. You didn't do anything. That's awful. Anybody else have something they want to share that was devastating, or tell people don't ever say?
God knows best.
Oh wow.
Now, and we know that that's true. But in that moment, I think the best thing is, if that mother who is recently lost even wants to have company near her, to
Mhm.
just be present,
Yeah,
just be
yeah.
there.
Just be
well,
there.
I will offer
That's
some
good.
positive
Because
things to
when
say.
people are saying God knows best, they're bringing in the religious part and thinking that's going to make you feel like, oh well, I feel better that God knew best. Now you're mad at God. If God knew
Mm,
best and this is what He think is best and the way I'm feeling,
yeah.
that does not help.
Mm-mm.
Okay, Danielle, I'm sorry, you were saying something.
I would say some things that you can say to a mom who just lost a
Yeah.
baby. You can say nothing. You
Yes.
can you can give her a
That's
hug.
right.
You can tell her I'm sorry. I know a big part of that. My sister was like, "Oh, my little niece, I was looking forward to painting her nails." The fact that she gave my baby a title,
Yeah.
that she said it was our baby. Or my mom said my grandbaby I lost. That person letting you know you're not alone and you're grieving. And I don't feel what you feel, but I was connected to that baby
As
in some
well.
way. You can encourage the mom if she doesn't know, she hasn't, to say, I encourage you to name that
Name the
baby. And if you
baby.
don't have a name,
Mm,
if you didn't have a name in mind, ask God to give you one.
Yes.
And just tell me later when you think about, what name you want. Name all your babies because they matter. They have at some point lived.
Yes.
And so they actually matter. So name your baby, name your angel.
I love it.
And then, tell them the journal.
Mhm.
Say, I'm so sorry that happened to you.
Yeah.
And I'll be praying for you. And I encourage you, write down your feelings.
Right. And I
And,
think
share
so. I
them.
think what y'all said is say nothing, but just your presence there and a hug
Yeah.
does so
And
much
Hmm.
just to
I
be there.
just want to add this
Yes.
because I always I reference my mother a lot because she was a great woman of faith.
Yeah.
But one of the things that she did and she told me that was helpful is she says that faith without works is dead.
Hmm.
The Bible tells us that. So when
Right.
we first moved in our home, I was using one of our rooms as a storage room.
Hmm.
And she told me, she said, go start acting, go
mm,
prepare for your
mm.
baby. So I
Yeah.
went and started preparing. I cleaned that room out and I went to that room every single day, sat in the middle of that floor and prayed.
Mm, 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 mm.
And I
Yeah.
prepared. I got ready for my baby.
Hmm.
That's
That's
what I did.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I I think that's really good and really encouraging. And I know that it's could be discouraging for someone who keeps, but coming from you, who's had multiple miscarriages, that just says a lot. But I know that there was a year, and I don't know if you were there, Danielle, but there was a year where God had just anointed me to pray for people that could not have children, and they were just popping out left and right. It was scaring me. I prayed in the room one time, and a lady that was single got pregnant, and she left the church because she was embarrassed. But it was just that anointing was so heavy on me at that time that I was able to do that through God. He graced me to do that. But sometimes, people will you can pray, 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 and it will happen for some and not happen for some. And so you cannot be because I don't understand how God does it, how somebody can have, 10 miscarriages and you pray for them and they get pregnant. And I know one lady had two babies back to back, and she kept having miscarriages. But you don't know why God did that. But I know one thing that I do know about all of them. They were relentless. They prayed, prayed, prayed. And if they had a miscarriage, they just kept trying. So don't let anybody keep you from trying. And I know some people don't want to tell. And I didn't know this little rule until at some time when I told a lady, I said, "You're pregnant, aren't you?" And she goes, "How did you know?" I'm not telling, but don't tell anybody because I'm just this big. And I said, I just saw it. And so she didn't want to tell anybody until she got past it's the 12 weeks or something like that, 3 months,
Hmm.
something like that. And so, and I understand why, but back then I didn't understand why she wasn't telling people. And but now I know why. So we have to be very, very careful about what we say. And things that we can say is like you just said, you can pray with them and just pray with them, not that they will have another baby or that this one, it's okay that this one's gone, you can get another one. Don't pray
Yeah,
those prayers, just pray the prayers of, wanting to comfort them and love on them and focus on the mother and how she's feeling and just be there. But don't say stupid things like I know they used to say all the time, oh, God needed an angel or God needed another flower for his garden, and like I say, you'd be mad at God, be ready to fight. You took my child for your garden. So, it's one of those things where we have to be careful what we say. And the best thing to do is to say nothing, just be there. Just be there. And so thank you very much, Bishop. Okay. Just be there so that they won't be alone. Because and then also recommend or or either go with them to grief share uh, when they're ready. So I'll go with you. Give them some good books to read when they're by themselves because they may not want to do it. And the main thing is don't push them until they're ready. Um, Danielle, also, please mark this date, Wednesday, November 15th. That's my mother's birthday. It says at 4 to 7, dance the blues away. She has some function that's coming up. So I just say NAMI is there. The website, if you can put that up, please, for me. I see the angelbabiesmatter.com is the website for Danielle. And for NAMI, is it just, if you just do NAMI, it's going to come up. And Ms. Gussie, it's so great to have you on and share. Not only are you working with NAMI, but you also are the mother of angel babies. So just be sensitive to the fact that 1 in 4, so probably more people that um, than are in that group, and they just never talked about it. So thank you, Danielle, for giving a safe place for mummies to go and to talk about it, a platform to talk about it, and also a way to help them to get help. The main thing, guys, is share your story with somebody that's safe, and hopefully they have watched this show so they'll know what not to say and how to be there for you. And go on the network, reach out, because it is a trauma that you need to address. You can't just ignore it. Your baby, you were pregnant, you had a baby, and you're still a mommy if you don't have any other babies. And so you need to work through that, and that's what they're going to do for you. So talk about it, share, open up so that people can come in and help you. People can't help if you don't open up, okay? And then they'll be ready to love on you. If you know of a mother who's gone through this, if you'll reach out to Danielle and she will get one of the boxes over, go volunteer to help her make the boxes, donate for things in the boxes that are care boxes for the moms. We can all do something, right? So the main thing is go ahead, not only pray about it, but do what you can to make a difference in the lives of the mommies that have babies, that are angel babies, and pray for them and do what you can. So anyway, it's been a great show. Share this with somebody else who needs it, okay? And be there for them. Thank you for joining Tea Talk. It's time to go. There's so much we can talk about, but listen, see you next week. We're going to talk about the women's conference. Let's get ready for next week and have a wonderful week. Thank you for joining me, Lady O, Tea Talk at 3. I'll see you next week. Bye bye for now.